Hi guys, sorry for the long delay between videos, but I've been down a rabbit hole really building what I want to introduce today. So I'm introducing what I call Better Code Editor, or BCE, which is a Canvas subclass Xojo control that you can just drop into your projects to provide a code editor, a syntax highlighter. It requires the text input canvas plugin, which is free and open source. It's provided in the repository. It was initially made by Xojo. It's now being maintained by Bjorn Eriksson from Einhuga Software because it provides really rich Unicode support on Mac OS. Anyway, let's show you what it can do. I'm going to give you a demo now, and then I'm going to make another video about the technical implementation and how you actually use it in your own projects. The link is below in the description for the GitHub repository, and there's a pretty detailed README there about how you need to get it set up. So here it is. Here's a demo app. On the left-hand side, we've got a code editor. On the right-hand side, we've got some options that we can fiddle around with it. I think these are most of the ones that are exposed by the editor. And then we've got a toolbar on the top, which, just because I wasn't quite sure how to demonstrate them easier than using these buttons. So first things first, I'm going to just write a little bit of code. If a equals 100, then whatever, some code. Let's do a while loop. And some more code. Let's do a string, just so we'll do var s string equals hello world. Okay, so we've got some code to play around with. First of all, we'll make it a bit bigger. All right, so we can just change the font. I like Source Code Pro, and we're going to make it nice and big so you can see it easy on the screen. We can adjust the line number size. Let's make it a bit bigger. Okay, now one of the nice things about BCE is that it can support any number of programming languages. I have the concepts of formatters, which are Xojo classes, which I've written 3, and I've bundled them in the repository. And if you wanted to support different programming languages, you'd have to write your own, but it's a very clear interface that you need to implement. So I've written a formatter for Xojo and ZojoScript, for Dart, and for Objo, which is the language I've been doing some tutorials about, a language I'm sort of inventing as I go along. So we've got the Xojo formatter at the moment. We can change it with this little drop-down box, but we'll leave it on Xojo for the moment. It also supports themes, which are JSON files, and there's a huge number of options that you can change when you want to style your editor, way more than you get in the normal Xojo IDE. Part of this is because the formatters, when you type, the editor will ask the formatter, will say, hey, look, here's a line of code. Please, can you tokenize this? Can you split this into tokens and give them a type? So this is a string, this is an integer, this is a number. But the formatter, in addition to saying, hey, this is an identifier, can also say this is an identifier, but it's also a method call. So your themes can style it and say, okay, color identifies this color and make them bold or underlined. But it might even go deeper. A specific theme might say, well, okay, I also know how to style method calls. So you could have method calls styled differently to just identifiers. So you can get really detailed on how you can style stuff. And I've bundled 6 themes with the repository, light and dark versions of the Xojo IDE theme, so it looks just like Xojo's IDE, which is what we're looking at right now. I've got specific ones for Dart, which have extra styles for some of the constructs that you get in Dart and not in other languages. And then I've got a theme called Photon, which I like when I've been writing Objo code. It also works really well for Xojo. It's this kind of color, and it supports some richer stuff like colorizing escapes in strings. So if I give you an example, if we go back to the Xojo Lite, and if we write a hello world, so there's a string. Now if I want to put a double quote in the string, it highlights it correctly, because I don't know if you know this, but if you put 2 quotes within a string, that will be outputted as a single quote. but one thing that some of the themes can do, so photon light, I wish that projected a bit better. Hang on, let's find one where it's a bit more clear. There we go. The user dart theme. You can see that the double quote is an escaped character, so it sort of shows you the escaped quote inside a little bit better, which I find really helpful. Anyway, we'll go back to the normal Xojo light theme. Right, so themes, really rich, really easy to write, and it should be clear when you look at the repository how they're structured. What other features can the editor do? Right, well, I wish I hadn't got rid of some of my code so I can demonstrate it. Right. Let's do, and you also notice cool things like if you've got an unescaped string, sorry, not unescaped string, an unterminated string, it'll highlight in red in this theme. So we'll put that back. So we've got the ability to turn on and off line numbers. We don't like that. We've got the ability to highlight the current line, currently turned off. And actually, if I turn it on, you'll see that it doesn't do anything in this theme because this theme styles the current line as a normal line because that's what the Xojo IDE does, and this theme is trying to replicate that. If I switch to something like photon light, you'll see the line is highlighted. We'll turn that off for the moment. You might be able to see this in the video, hopefully you can, but the parentheses around the caret at the moment are highlighted with a sort of grey box. How they're highlighted can be styled in the theme to look like however you want, and it's an option you can turn on and off. Okay, so it's the formatter's responsibility to figure out what are the nearest delimiters to the caret. So if it be parentheses or in something like a curly brace language, whether it's the braces either side of a function or the parentheses around a method call. But it makes it really helpful to sort of see where you are in a complex expression. So if I say, if I've got, let's do a plus b times, let's do some more brackets, 1 plus 2. If I've got the caret in between the 1 plus 2, you can see it's just highlighting these parentheses, whereas if I come out of those parentheses, it jumps to the further out one. So it's really helpful to show you where you are in a deeply nested construct. We can style the caret however we like. At the moment it's a vertical bar, can make it an underscore, can make it a block, I can stop it blinking, all very customizable. We have these buttons up here. I'm going to talk about them now because I forgot about them when I tried to make this video before. Like Xojo's IDE, you have breakpoints, bookmarks, and I support that in BCE, so I can toggle a breakpoint on or off and a bookmark on or off. Now the colors of these are customizable in the theme. You can also have both a bookmark and a breakpoint. It's hard to see on the screen here, but they're actually a different style. This is red and purple rather than just red or purple. In the Xojo IDE, when you analyze your project, sometimes you're shown a warning in the gutter, like a little triangle, or if there's a compiler error, it'll show you a cross. I wanted to replicate that feature that some people, if you're writing your own code editor, you might want to show some sort of compiler message. So I have the concept of a compiler warning, which is like this yellow triangle, or compiler error, which looks like this. And again, the colors and styles of that can be changed in the theme. Finally, you can comment out a line with the toggle comment button. In fact, I'm just going to switch back to the Xojo Light one so it looks a bit better. There you go. And it's quite smart as well. If you've got a couple of lines of code, say you highlight everything, toggle it, it'll comment it all out, or you can undo it, but it will preserve the codes within commented out code, just like the Xojo IDE does. Autocomplete, yes. So autocomplete is really hard to do, and no single code editor can think about every type of autocompletion, but it does need to provide some deep hooks to allow you to write your own autocomplete engine, and BCE does just that. So in the demo, I've provided a really simple autocomplete engine that essentially will just offer up these keywords here. When you type something in the editor, for instance, I'm going to type add, okay, I've got the little ellipsis in grey telling me if I press the tab key, it's going to show me some options, and there they are, they pop up. and my autocomplete engine takes the prefix, the add, and figures out what to offer up. Now, if you're going to write a proper code editor, you probably would want to be parsing the code as you write, so you can figure out variable scope, etc. The demo app doesn't do that. There's no reason you couldn't, because hooks are provided to do so, and I think I'm going to write a Xojo script parser, and I may actually do that as a tutorial series because I have a need for it in a project that I'm doing at the moment, in which case we could then fold it back into the BCE repository and provide it for free. It's also worth mentioning that this box here, this add handler address of like completions box, it's completely stylable in a theme as well. So you can change it to match what you want. And I'll just demonstrate that by switching. In fact, we'll show you the live switching to dark mode. Switch to dark mode. If I press add, can you see it's changed to blue icons and a different color scheme. So it works as advertised. Let's get rid of that. What else do I want to talk about? Do I want to forget? Oh yes, it has an undo engine. So you know, oh, I just accidentally quit it. Didn't mean to do that. It has an undo engine. So if a equals 10, then break, or I can redo. Okay, so it supports a full undo. And you can look at the example in the demo how you implement new sort of features, but basically it works as you might imagine with Command Z to undo. It's fast, it's pretty performant. I've had thousands of lines of Xojo script in the editor and I don't notice any slowdown whatsoever. It supports vertical and horizontal scrolling. Oh, and one other nifty thing that I really like, I hadn't come across this until a blog post on the Xojo blog, I don't know, a year ago or so. I think it was in Xojo, no, it must have been less than a year. I think it was Xojo 2021 R2, where the concept of super returns. So instead of just pressing the return key after you type, if you press control and return, you get what's known as a super return. And what that does is the editor asks the formatter, hey, this is the line. Is there anything you can do to kind of complete this construct that's going on? This is best shown with the, visually. So if I type if and then press control return, it will automatically, hang on, let's make that bigger because you can't see it. So let's just make that a bit bigger. And just make source code pro because that's my favorite. Right, sorry. So if I type if and then press control and return, it will complete the if statement for me and highlight the condition so I can just start typing. I've added a whole number of these for Xojo and for Dart, like IFF gives you if else if, IFE if else. It works for completing constructs, so class, end class, function, end function. Even works if you prefix it, so public function, end function. You'll notice that the block isn't complete because this isn't valid. It's not valid because we haven't given an identifier afterwards. So it tries to be smart at block highlighting as well. Other super return things you can do, if you're writing a comment and you press return, you just get the new line. But if you press control return, it gives you a comment. So you can just carry on writing like a method, a header or something. Anyway, that's all I wanted to show. I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to it. It's free, it's open source, use it as you please. If you do use it in a project, it'd be really nice if you give me a little shout out in your about box. And I'm going to make another video sort of showing some of the technical sides of how it's implemented. I hope you enjoyed that, and yeah, see you soon.